Status refers to a position in society or in a group. But there are really two types of status: ascribed status and achieved status. Okay, in ascribed status, the status is automatic, so you don't have a choice. In other words, it's an involuntary status. And some examples that come to mind are status because of race or sex. Not much you can do about that. On the other hand, achieved status requires some effort, and there's a choice involved. For instance, a marriage partner on the type of education or for that matter, and the length of time in school. Well, these are choices and achievements, and so they fall under the category of achieved status. So that brings us to the status set. A status set is a combination of all the statuses that an individual has. Me, for example, I'm a professor, but I'm also a husband and a father, and a son since my mother is still living. So in each of these statuses, I have certain behaviors that are expected because of the status. Okay, all of the behaviors are roles. I mean, a role is the behavior expected because of status. Okay, back to status sets. All the statuses has been further some professor combined to form the status set. And each of statuses have certain expectations. Let me use that professor status again. So, as a professor, I have a teaching role and I have to prepare classes. That's expected. I also advise students grade assignments and evaluate my students. But this role has very different expectation. Um, as a researcher, I have to design studies, raise funds for grants, and then perform the research. And finally, I write article and reports. So I think you see what I mean. But one more thing, and this is important, sometimes role conflict can occur. Let me say that again, role conflict. And that means that meeting the expectations for uh, the expectation for one role will cause problems for an individual who is trying to meet the expectation in a different role. Okay, let's say that one of my students is dating my daughter. I don't recommend this, but anyway, I mean have role strain that could even develop into role conflict because it will be difficult for me to meet the expectations for my role as a teacher and when students come to my house, I have to remember my status as a person and my role that requires me to welcome a guest into my home and well, form an opinion about someone who wants to take my daughter out on a date.